What's up? What's up? What's up? Today is the 2nd of August, 2023. And welcome to Random Thoughts with DVP. Y'all know who I am. I'm the host. I'm DVP. I got some special guests with me today. We're going to talk about something that I mess around, and I'm going to get to that after the break. But this is what I want to talk about. Since the show is about peer pressure, and it's what we're going to talk more about, I just want y'all to understand. We're going to talk about peer pressure in a personal sense today, but I want y'all to look again what's going on, because eventually we're going to do another political show, because I want y'all to understand. I don't care who you vote for or how you vote, but don't give half the story. Give the whole story. When you got your slanted, tainted view on whatever, give the whole story so that people can make informed decisions. And when we don't get along or we don't agree, it's important to understand why. Everything ain't personal. And just because somebody don't agree with you, which is funny to me, because so many of y'all claim to be independent thinkers and you walk to your own beat, but you get upset and when don't nobody think like you. That confuses me. But then I realized why. I did a post about loyalty, and I asked people, who are you loyal to and who do you expect loyalty from? And the way some people took that, and to help narrow it down, the choices I gave for who you're loyal to or who you expect loyalty from were your parents, your children, your spouse, your best friend, not an associate, other than whatever. And people start bringing up sex. People start talking about they don't expect loyalty from nobody. They only loyal to situations. And that's when I knew that, you know what, y'all might be the problem. Don't pay my courage no attention. I said, y'all trying to peep. I might be trying to rob me for my millions. How is it that you're proud of the fact that you don't have anybody that you can rock with? How is it that you are proud of the fact that you don't think anybody's ever going to be loyal to you? How is it that you're not going to be loyal to anybody unless they're doing something for you? I realize that we as a race of humans are kind of flawed. And I saw the thing that says, you know, every time the aliens fly by, they lock their doors. They don't want us. We are a effed up group of people. I'm a team of one. I do this by myself. There is nothing you can do by yourself. If you got a business, you need consumers to make your business profitable. Chances are you need workers. Probably need a bank. It's a bunch of stuff you need, but the way y'all look at things, the way y'all process information, to me, is borderline insane. And I don't get it. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I'm not. But clearly, your expectations are something special. And I don't understand how you got to your point of being so screwed up in life that you don't have anything for anybody, but you want everybody to follow you. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. So I'm going to do a show on that later. But what we're going to talk about today is some of the pressures that we get from peers as it revolves around life, sex, drugs, rock and roll, all that good shit. So I know two of my guests are here. Mo gonna be here, so we're gonna make it do what it do, and we're gonna go from there. So we're gonna take this quick break, figure out why I don't see myself on Facebook, and go from there. All right. So we'll be back.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, My colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
T. Madden and Associates is a sophisticated and experienced law firm located in your neighborhood. We're turning injury to cash.
T. Madden and Associates obtained almost $2 million for my injury. They turned my injury to cash.
Now, we can't guarantee how much your injury is worth, but we've recovered millions for our clients.
Call T. Madden and Associates at 833-PAID-123. That's 833-PAID-123.
Stride K-12 powered schools are ready to put over 20 years of being a leader in online education to work for you. Dive into curriculum designed for the online classroom. Team up with state-certified teachers trained in virtual instruction. Take control of your child's education journey. Discover the power of personalized learning with a leader experienced in preparing kids for a future they can be excited about. Take charge. Stride K-12. Enroll now for the fall.
All right, we back. So this is one of the things I would say. You know, I talk about this all the time. I got two guests on the show, and actually, the funny thing is, out of everybody who's going to be on the show today, I've only met one person, and this is how you use Facebook to your advantage. I meet people, and I look at their page. I look at it. If I see something I like, I share it, and when I want to do a show, I reach out to them. Now, I got Javon and his wife on here, and Javon made a post, and it got me to thinking. And it didn't get me to thinking just about the post. What got me more so was the response from men to the post. And I hate to say this, we're gonna get into this. I think men, we're so sensitive about everything. Javon, and I'm gonna let him talk about it. Javon spoke his truth. He spoke his reality. And he apologized for something that, like a lot of us did unknowingly, we did something wrong unknowingly. We didn't do it out of malice. And everybody just tried to get on him about it. He didn't say nobody else had to do it. His wife commented, because I reached out to her too, wanted her to come on. And for those of y'all that follow the show, y'all know I'm a big fan of having uncomfortable conversations, because that's the only way we can get better, is to have uncomfortable conversations. Everything ain't gonna be hunky-dory. So in the midst of them sharing something and Javon taking it in as a grown man and learning from it and moving forward, I see these dudes start coming in and trying to blame everything, as opposed to just taking in the message and understanding that sometimes we miss something because we're in our manhood, we're in our machoism, we're in our fake alphaism, that we just don't give a shit about nobody. So I put it out there. I asked the question about sex, and the question was a simple question. When we were teenagers, how many people were pressured into sex, be it by the person they were with or by their peer group? Because as boys, if they think you're a virgin, everybody keep egging you on to go on and have sex. As a girl, when they're having conversations about the sex, if you ain't had sex, they looking at you funny. And it's a peer pressure thing, it seems like, that everybody wants you to have sex to be like them. So, y'all already know Mo. Mo is going to be my conscience again, even though he came in with an attitude. And as a Southern gentleman, I'm gonna let the Mrs. introduce herself first, and then I'm gonna let the Mr. introduce him. As you know what, I take that back. I'm gonna let the Mr. introduce himself first, and then introduce his wife, because we're gonna do this Southern gentleman style. So Javon and both of them say they got jokes. Now we're gonna see if they funny. We're gonna see if they're funny. We're gonna grade them on the curve. We grading them on the curve. Go ahead, Javon.
You can't be too funny about this subject. You know, you can't be too funny. We sensitive, man.
My name is this one. But go ahead, Javon.
Yeah, my name is Javon Michael Clark, and this is my wife, Christina Boyd Clark, and we've been married together 17 years. We got 3 kids, 2 boys, 120, I think 24, 120, and a 2-year-old daughter. So we've been rocking out for a minute.
Introduce your wife.
And go ahead, Chris. Tell them about yourself. You know what I'm saying? Tell them what's up with you.
Well, I'm Christina Boyd Clark, Chris Clark, the total woman. I'm Javon's wife, and I just enjoyed being able to enter spaces like this, because I was once one of these people that you want to have these hard conversations with, and so when I get an opportunity to like say something real, to be transparent, because people be scared, I like to jump out there. So thanks for having me.
All right, so what I want to do, Mel, if you can you put up the first part of the can you put up Javon's post first, not the one in the middle? And we getting some feedback from somebody who doesn't have a headphone on. So Javon,
let me get some headphones real quick. It might be me. Let me grab some headphones real quick.
All right. So Mel, can you put up the thing I stole from their page in my full-fledged thievery? Okay, well, yeah, we'll start with that one. Okay, and it says some women have a higher body count because they're afraid to say no when they're put in a situation that involves sexual pressure from a man. But I don't think the shit shamers are ready for that conversation yet. And that is so true. And I took it a step further, because I'm gonna let the missus give her take on it. But this ain't just a woman thing. When I started doing my interviews, there were a lot of men who had stories to tell about these sexual pressures and doing these. So, Chris, how did you and Javon end up on this conversation?
Excuse me, I didn't hear you.
How did you end up on this conversation?
Well, look, I woke up to the conversation like anybody else on Facebook. So when I read it, I just, commented. He didn't even know that had happened to me until I made the comment. So I wanted it to be clear. I guess I wanted to really show like this has been happening for a long time for people that's been following us. This has been happening for a long time, but it also was my way of saying women are more aware of this pressure than what we act like we are.
Okay, well, as Javon putting his headset on, Javon's statement was, as he getting ready, his statement to this was, I concur. When I was a teenager, I was told by older heads to act like you were mad or sad and say you were never going to talk to them for playing with you. For example, we kissing or fondling, she wants to stop. I ain't mad and say I'm leaving. She says stop it and does it. Every man knows this, but won't ever admit it. So, Javon, you with me? You with me yet, Javon?
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm gonna have to hold my phone because the headphones, basically, me plugging the headphones in is stopping me from being able to prop it up. So I'm gonna have to kind of hold it up like this right here.
I'll try mine.
Okay. So, what made you make this post, Javon?
The reason I made this post, let's see. I made this post because I identify with my sisters, and I'm always trying to ride with my sisters, and it's a true statement. You know what I mean? I was taught by the OGs. You know what I'm saying? If a girl really liked you, they like attention, and if they really wanted your attention, that they would trade their body for your attention. So I was taught by the OGs. Put peer pressure on them. If she call you over and y'all kissing and fondling each other, and she want to stop and say that's all I want to go, and then you just be like, man, you playing with me? You got me over here. I'm an athlete. It's a lot of girls I could be talking to, and I'm over here talking to you. And they kind of gave in. And I felt like all men had went through that and knew that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, when have we ever asked a girl straight up, are we finna consensually have sex?
Yeah.
Has that ever happened in your life? So to some point, form or fashion, as men, we're always applying pressure. We know we kiss, go to first base. If they let us kiss them, we kiss their neck. If they let us kiss their neck, we touch the breast. We move our hand down and we heat checking and we just kind of going. No one has ever said, are we finna have consensual sex? So I think men understand in this process of applying pressure. I just figured men would just acknowledge it. But I think sometimes as brothers, we're so mad at our sisters that we looked at it like sisters was trying to excuse their whole body count for this. No, it may not have happened 30 times, but it happens. So I just wanted to empathize with my sisters and tell the truth. Like, yeah, I call it applying pressure. I mean, I just thought it was common sense.
And I talked to one of my friends who's older like I am. I'm 58. I know how old you guys are. And he was like, yeah, we did these things back in the day when it wasn't illegal, or we just didn't know better. Because in today's society, most of us would be criminals for the things that we did. But it was a different time back then. But the sexual pressure has been going on. And as I talk to some guys and understand why they don't want to be on the show, a lot of them were pressured into sex. Because if an older woman wanted to have sex with us, that was supposedly a good thing. And we realize it now for what it is. And this is where a lot of our trauma comes from. But I want to stick right now. I want to stick to what we do to the women, because it seems that as if in our insecurity phase, anytime a woman tells us something that we need to know, we become defensive and we don't want to hear the story. When I read Christina's story, it bothered me, but I understood it because I've heard it before.
Hey, before you go to that, DVP, let me just make a comment, because my experience was the same as Javon's. I had the same experience, and I was told by the old heads, you know, the process, follow the process this way, and you'll never strike out. And most of the time, it was something that was negative. It was something that would put the girl under pressure. Something that wasn't quite fair. She didn't get enough time. You know, like you said, use anger, use all of these different things to make this woman do what you want them to do. And I learned the same thing from the old heads. Whack as hell. But that's what I learned.
And it's fun.
Go ahead.
It's funny though, because to know that this is just like some jewels that was passed down, you know, from man to man. As a young girl, I mean, I was always in situations in one way or another where if you didn't put out the guy or do what the guy said, he would have an attitude. You get what I'm saying? And based on how much you like them or not will determine if you give in. And I mean, whether it was right or wrong, I just assume that that's just the way things go. Now, I don't know if men really realize that we realize that. You get what I'm saying? Like, every man is doing this to every woman in one way or another, not just when it comes to sex.
And we don't, because it was ingrained in us to do it. And I think that's where it came from. And like I said, it's such a different time now. And it's sad that when we look at it and we try to correct it, because some of us have daughters, all of us have mothers. We don't want to hear it when it happens to them. But when the conversation comes up, we'll shy away from it. I saw some of the dudes who was trying to clown Javon. Oh man, here you go, getting them excuse for their body count. And that I didn't even get that from his message. But it's easier to clown him than to accept the fact that even though we meant no malice, that we've been guilty of it. And a lot of us have been guilty of it. But like I said, we did it without malice because it was what everybody was doing. But
and let me add something to that too. Another component of that is that the males will get pressure from uncles or brothers to actually be successful when they got into that position. So that was another motivation for a dude to apply pressure to a girl, because they're gonna come check you. You know, how'd it go? Did did everything go right? You know, did you get what you were coming for? This or that. They're gonna check you. And then if things didn't work out like they thought it should be, you know, you get clowned. So there's another component to that.
And then we got the pressure from our uncles, from our other male relatives to do the deed. So we got pressure the women so that we could come back and tell a story. You know, the whole blue ball thing and yada, yada, yada. All that is just so insane to me. And like I say, I'm looking at it and, you know, like I said, when I read Christina's post about how it happened to her, it bothered me more because, like I said, men don't want to accept this. And, you know, I started thinking back to Mike Tyson and the thing because, you know, everybody over 35, right? So what do we say when that girl said she went to Mike Tyson's room at 2:00 in the morning? Oh, she knew what was up. But now, as adults, we say everybody got the right to say no. So when is it that she got the right to say no versus she know what it is? Because this is the thing that everybody has been in a situation where it could have went left or right. And, you know, my wife Trina is here, and, you know, and she got a phrase that she and we talk about it. She loves to use, you know, she's like when dudes was pressuring her, she's like, I know I can't beat you, but I know you ain't trying to catch a rape case. And that would just end everything. But, you know, how do we get to that point where we make dudes aware of what they're doing subliminally, or even they might know what they're doing, but they just want theirs. And all the people say, oh, she showed up, she wanted it, she just wasn't ready right there. So if she wasn't ready, she didn't want it.
And can I say something, brother?
Absolutely.
I'm gonna tell you what I think is happening. When you look at a bell curve, most people are average. You know what I mean? And then you have a few people that are outliers. What's happening is, it happened with Kevin Samuels. You're a brother, you're an outlier. I'm an outlier. When brothers like us make comments, average guys jump in and put their mouth on it. And a lot of average guys weren't able to do that. And it's not a cool thing to do. But they say, well, damn, I couldn't get no pussy at all. I didn't never do that. So they start not meaning so much that it kind of devalidates the discussion. You know what I mean? It's so many guys want to come in and say what they didn't do. And we know that this is a real thing. Just because you didn't do it doesn't mean it's not a real thing that's happening to women and has happened to women. And a lot of times brothers just want to devalidate the woman's feelings and her story because they just an average ass Joe that don't like women, man. And I'm telling you, I'm seeing this happening on social, because any real man gonna come out like the brother said, hey man, we always told this, get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
and even if we knew about it. And that's the thing. Like I said, when I saw your post and then I saw your wife, I was like, this is not something that is unheard of. If you didn't go through it yourself, you have heard of it. Unless you was living in a monastery, you've heard of dudes saying, yo, this is what you do. When she won't do this, she won't do that. You know, just kiss on the neck. Just do this. Just apply a little pressure. Because everybody wants to try to be cool. And, you know, from the male end, we can't turn down none because the first thing happens, we gay. The women can't turn down none. Like I said, because we're talking high school right now. Their peer pressure is a bitch. It's a bitch. It is what it is. Everybody wants to be part of a conversation. Now, I know Mel had commented, yeah, there were those that were scared of their parents and they just weren't doing it. But most of them was never put in a situation. They didn't go to the late night parties. They didn't sneak out to do certain things. But it's there. It's there. And and Chris, this is why I want you to comment, especially because I wish Trina was down here with me. This is one of the things as we try to reclaim our community, and Mo is a part of this. Black men have to stand up and step up, and we have to accept some of the damage that we caused on our queens through ignorance. We can correct that if we accept that we were ignorant of certain things. We don't want to be ignorant. We don't want to say that we were ever at fault. And again, it's not that we were malicious. We just didn't know better. So now that we know better, we have to do better. And we have to apologize to these women. We don't have to call their names out, but apologize for our behavior and accept that. That's part of being an adult, which is why, like I said, when I looked at yours, man, because again, I didn't know either one of them, but when I saw that post, it just hit me. It hit me. And as Javon said at the end of it, every man knows this, but won't ever admit it. because we want our hands to be clean. But if you catch them when they've been drinking, if you catch them at the bar, they can tell you a story. Yo, man, yeah, she didn't want to. I had to do this. I had to put a little something in her drink. I had to get, I gave her some weed to relax her. Well, y'all don't know me, but I spent 22 years as a cop. Well, everything I just heard was illegal. You took away her ability to say no. You gave her drugs. You gave her alcohol to break her down, not to relax her. You took away her ability to make rational decisions. And we don't want to accept, oh man, these women are always figuring out a way to blame a man for this. They ain't blaming. They just telling their side of the story that we never wanted to hear. We don't want to hear what Christine got to say if it's going to make us look less than, because as Black women always do, they lift us up, and we got so accustomed to that. Whenever they try to check us on something that we should know, we become defensive and aggressive. Would you agree to that, Christine?
Oh, yes. A lot of times it is like that. But I have to say this, not changing the direction on what you are, talking about as far as the accountability of the man. I think that is just great for women to see men be accountable, right? Show us how that look like, what that looks like without arguing about it, just standing up saying, hey, I have done this. I have applied this pressure, and I'm sorry if it's made you feel like, X, Y, Z. However, as a woman and me being older now, me thinking back from that moment and where I am now, a lot of it is about women not going to put themselves in a position like that. Now, hear me out. What I'm saying is that this is happening before we ever get to y'all. We are already deciding what we gonna do, what we not gonna do, if we gonna do it, how far we gonna go. I think that this conversation needs to be had so that women realize how serious this is. The trauma that is bringing apart on both sides. A man, you got that on your conscience, that now you got this game that you're playing with this woman, making her, this girl, making her feel bad about her not giving in, right? And so then you got to figure out what to do with that. But a woman knows that she's coming over there and she already know how far she's going. So whatever antics that y'all do on y'all side, that's an afterthought. And I think women need to be truthful about that part of it, as men are being truthful about what they're doing. So we realize we both in there playing some sort of game.
Can I say something real quick? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Look, this is not my show.
I think sometimes, and I understand where my wife is coming from, and she's always about being accountable. But I don't think my wife really understands the psychological pressure that we can play on each other as far as agenda. So say, for example, in college, let's just be real. In college, we get a couple of bottles of liquor. We're going to play some spades. We're going to play some drinking games. And as soon as everybody get drunk, somebody going to holler out, let's play truth or dare, right? Now, these are 18, 19, 20, 22-year-old people. But put in certain situations, there's a psychological pressure. I remember the first time I snorted cocaine. I was at a white school, and just in a situation, they say they slapping they hitting that white girl. I thought they was talking about a real girl. I went in the bathroom and they was like, big man, go ahead. And I just snorted some cane, just that easy. First time. So what I'm saying is being put in these situations, especially when it's Mike Tyson, when it's a 6'6" athlete, it's 5 guys off the basketball team, and we drinking, and we talking about let's get drunk, let's play truth or dare. People start to do things that they normally wouldn't have done. And what I'm saying is, as a man, we know for sure what we're doing. I'll give you a perfect example real quick. It's happened to me one time. It'll never happen to me again. I was talking to this girl, and we were supposed to be hooking up, and she hit me with some, like her car had broke down and she needed a tire or something. And the psychological pressure that I felt, that I had to get that girl that $200 for that tire, or she won't gonna give me none. And my granddad always told me, don't give no woman no money for no sex. But the pressure, I don't think we realize that pressure, especially when people are around, that when that pressure is on, man, people do things they didn't plan on going as far. You know what I mean?
I definitely agree with that. I guess because after like the post, what happened at 14, if this same dude would have asked me to come back over the next day, I wanted to mess with him. I think I would have did it. That's what I'm saying. If I'm that traumatized and that upset about somebody doing that to me, I should have not felt comfortable about that. What I'm saying is that it's kind of like it's a trade-off. Like when you want to mess with somebody and you want to be there, don't get me wrong. When they know you want it, they could do stuff like say what Javon is saying. And also I'm talking about it from a teenager ducking school, and he talking about it from being in college, and I didn't experience that. You get what I'm saying? Where more stuff could go down and it could be even more, detrimental, about it. But I'm just like, because of the trauma, the psychological trauma that it really carries, I'm just saying, as a woman, I'm like, wow, when I realized don't play with men like that. And don't go there with a plan.
And one of the things, because I always talk about the way we got to train our kids, and it's to me, it's so much more important the conversations that you, Christina, have with your daughter, because we have to start letting the girls know what they don't have to do. Because once it's out there that this is unacceptable, it gives them a little something. I'm proud of the way Trina talks to our daughter. She's in the military now, but they have open and honest, uncomfortable conversations about sex and all kind of things, because this is the only way it can happen, because it's so taboo. It's easy. I don't know if you guys got, it was easy for me to have a talk with my son about sex. I went to the store, we got condoms, everything. His mom was hotter than shit. And I knock on wood, all of my boys, all of my sons didn't have kids until they were married. My daughter's not so much. And I'm like, you got to tell them about sex. You got to let them know. You got to tell them this, this, and this. I can tell them, but the conversation ain't the same. And there's a fine line. When I did a show about what women tell their daughters, they kind of clam up when it comes to sex. They just want to, preach that don't get pregnant, preach this. And it's like, we got to let them know, because me and Javon can tell our sons, hey, if a woman says no, back off. You know what I'm saying? Don't do this, don't do that. Just let it happen like this. But who's telling the girls that you can still be respected by saying no? Who's telling the girls that, hey, tell a dude if he do something you don't like, he gonna catch a rape case? Because you can't beat him. But just because you put yourself in a situation, when did y'all lose the ability to walk out? And we don't.
Yes, it's almost like letting the guy eat you, and the girl feel like the guy like, well, you made me eat you. Now you gotta give me some. She like, no, nigga, you ate me.
Yeah.
Right. And
that's true. I mean,
that's what we gotta get past, and that's why like I said, I reached out to you guys because I wanted it. Like I say, Javon's apologies hit me in a different way. Then your post, Christina, just hit me in another way, and it's like, damn, if we don't listen to these things as men who are sworn protectors and we want to rise up the race, how can we ever get better if all we look to do is place blame? Christina didn't blame nobody. Javon didn't blame nobody. All we're saying is these things happen, so we got to do better. We got to do better, and we can't keep letting our ego stand in the way if we want to get back to where we all claim that we want to be. We have to accept that these women's truths are different from what we know, because we didn't know we were doing this. We didn't know that we were applying undue pressure. We thought it was the norm because that's what we were told by other men. And until women tell us how they felt in that moment, we can't relate to it. Because when Javon tell me, I'm be like, yo, that's the way to go, man. You gotta make her feel like this so you can go and get them goodies. And Javon, we dapping each other up because we think that that's the norm. We don't know that you're at home crying, Christina. We don't know that Trina's crying because something happened that she didn't really want to happen. Even though she liked me, she wasn't ready to cross that road yet. In time, y'all would have gave it up, but we pushed the envelope. And you never complained to us. Nobody ever complained. So our ignorance made us think it was okay. So we can do it to the next one. And this is that teaching moment when we have the uncomfortable conversations and we have to listen to women's story. And that's why when I reached out, I couldn't make the show just about women. Unfortunately, it ain't too many guys who are going to come up here and tell about being sexually assaulted because it makes them look bad, because that's still the society that we in. You can't say that a woman did this because men will do anybody anything. But you know, and I hate to bring them up, but look at what R. Kelly turned into after being molested by a woman. It happens, and boys can't say nothing, girls can't say nothing, and we just keep that cycle going because everybody's got to be quiet. Man, you mean that woman wanted to give you something, you ain't want to get it, boy? You must be gay. You some kind of punk, man. You should be glad. Every boy's supposed to want it from an older woman because we fantasize about our teachers. We supposed to want it from an older woman. So when it happens, nobody talks about that trauma. When it happens to women, nobody talks about that trauma that eventually, and I'm trying to get Deb on the show. She's my psychologist. I'm trying to get her on the show. Deb, go back to the chat and say something so we can get you in. So we can explain how to make sure that this is not something, a generational curse that's passed on without being spoken about. Because we have to.
You know what, too, brother?
Conversations.
A lot of times we know that the old saying, once you open up Pandora's box, you know what I mean? So once you open up Pandora's box, we know situations where guys have, you know, you got a girl that like you and you ask her, can your homeboy hit? You know what I'm saying? And because she like you, she might go sleep with your man. And then now, you know, now she discovered something that she liked to do that she didn't know she liked to do. You know what I'm saying? She, you know, she get a train ran on her. She didn't know she liked getting a train ran on her until that situation came up. And those are the things that men are really afraid to touch. We're so afraid to say, yeah, when we was young, a girl might skip school with you and come to your house and two of your boys come over and, you know, you like, hey, my friend's out there. And you're just laughing. We kids, man. Ain't nobody thinking that this is no rape peer pressure situation. And she said, okay, I'll do your homeboys. And then y'all walk her home and y'all laugh. And it's like, you don't know what's opened up in that girl once that happened. You know what I'm saying? Once Pandora's box is opened up, you don't know what people go. The sister that's the counselor, she'll be able to talk about that when she come on.
And like I said, that's just something that we got to do better about. And like I say, you guys, this started with me. I got a phone call about girls being pressured and having sex by a boy or a man who was a friend of their brother, uncle, cousin, whatever. And all these guys talking about, I didn't know. And I'm gonna just use you right now, Christina, because you're the only woman on the panel. Christina gave in to a guy because he was friends with her brother. The brother don't know that he doing this, but she can't tell. And this happened to a bunch of women start telling their story. I mean, I did a whole show and I got one on here telling everything. They on the page telling about, yeah, the first guy who molested them or accosted them was a friend of the family. And they friends with the dude. Oh, I didn't know, because the minute she tried to say something, oh man, my boy wouldn't do that. Oh, you making that up. And I'm looking at it, how easy it is. I'm watching shows, I'm reading things where women are taking the side of the boyfriend, because whatever, they're not listening to their daughter. So we're teaching our daughters to shut up because nobody's gonna believe you. So that is insane to me.
And so listen, and then that also happens to the little boys too, because it happened to me. You know, my mother's friends would make me feel uncomfortable because they would say stuff. I don't know if it was innocent or not, but I know how it made me feel. You know, oh, you're looking nice today. Ooh, you're growing up so fast, this and that, right? Man, I felt totally uncomfortable. You know, I'm a 11, 12-year-old kid, and they saying that kind of stuff, and I didn't really know what sex was, but I know that didn't just sit right with me. You know what I mean? So it happens on the male side as well.
Yeah.
And it's why, to me, it was so important to have this conversation. Hey, Deborah, check your personal inbox. I just sent you one to your personal inbox. And this is why it's so important. Like I say, it's about having these uncomfortable conversations. And I want to just thank y'all, first of all, because to be able to get a couple who can come on and have this conversation, and Javon, for you to be man enough to listen to your wife and want to do something about it, even though you had nothing to do with her personal thing, that is part of what we got to do as we're sitting around talking about, we want to be kings, we want to do this. You can't be a king if you're not protecting your court. And I understand that every man ain't a protector, and I'm okay with that, but don't say you are. When Javon did this again, I ain't never met Javon. I don't know how we got to be friends, but hey, we friends. He made a post. I reached out to him. These are the kind of things that you can use social media for and to start having these conversations, because I do this show so we can have uncomfortable conversations that people don't want to talk about. We have to let the ladies start telling them. I'm gonna get a couple of guys. It's hard for guys to admit to being sexually abused. It's a little bit easier for women now when they get older, but in the midst of, they're not gonna say nothing, because nobody, who wants to be shamed? Who wants to be made fun of? Who wants to be told, nah, it didn't happen? Who wants that? And we end up crossing everybody out, and we carry that trauma, and we don't even realize it's trauma until later on. And that's it's got to be a good thing for you, Christina, to be able to have a husband who is so understanding you can have a conversation with, and y'all can grow. Y'all can grow from that, because you got to feel a little bit more protected when he will at least listen to what you're saying, as opposed to like,
definitely.
You put yourself in that position. You shouldn't have been doing this. You shouldn't have been doing that. And hell, it's a ton of things that we shouldn't have been doing. But what the hell does that mean? We did them anyway. We did. Hell, Javon, no, he shouldn't have been snorting no cocaine. But shit, it happened. And that's why people say everything was a plan. Sometimes life hits you so hard, you don't know what the hell going on until way after the fact. Way after the fact.
You know what's funny, real quick? And how they say breaking generational curses. It's really just changing the thought process. My wife, when I met her, my wife always would say, I talk myself out of pussy. When I was in college, like I said, you do stuff and you see stuff happen, and a guy on our team got in trouble. From that point on, I was the guy that was literally like, are we gonna fuck? And I taught my sons that. I taught my sons that. And, you know, when I first told my sons that, and when I first hooked up with my wife, I was like, don't give me no pussy for months or I ain't gonna like you. But when I finally decided I wanted it, I was like, are we gonna fuck? And she was like, you killing the mood and da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, nah, I'm not going through no more heat checking, fingering, touching. I taught my sons, when they go over a girl house and when things get, ask them, are we about to have sex? And my wife was like, don't tell them to say that. That's going to mess them up, or that's going to... I said, nah, in this generation, they need to ask. Because when you think about it, like I said earlier, as a man, before that situation with my friend in college, before he got caught up, I had never had sex as a result of asking and being told yes. So every situation I felt like I was in, I felt like I smooth talked or peer pressured or smoothed her out of the ass. You know what I'm saying? So every situation, and that's why it makes me so upset that the brothers act like they don't know what's going on, because ain't nobody was walking around saying, are we finna fuck? Because you feel like you're going to mess the mood up. But I taught my sons, ask, are we finna fuck?
Listen. I just want to say, man, that's some of the best advice that I heard in a long time, because, you know, we all know all the situations where the man says, well, I thought this, and the woman says, well, I thought that. Ain't nobody communicating, ain't nobody talking. So look, so I'm gonna just tell you my own personal story, and this was, for me, this was a good night. For a lot of dudes, they'll probably be like, no, that wasn't a good night for me. But I took this girl, me and this girl, we went to a hotel, and she looked right at me. She said, listen, ain't nothing gonna happen. And I'm a dude, man. I was pissed. I was like, okay, whatever. But then later on, I look back, man. I was like, I'm glad she said that, because signals could have got all messed up. I could have got myself in trouble. She could have got upset. We could have had a problem. Police could have been called, all kind of things. But she was right up with it. And after that, I was like, listen, I need to know right up front, just like you were saying, Javon. Just like that.
And you know, it's crazy. I've had women who got mad at me because if we're just meeting, I won't have sex with you if you've been drinking or smoking weed. Because I need you to have a clear mind, because I don't want to be that somebody you come back and talk about. I want to make sure you're there. I don't ask like Javon says, but I'll be like, yo, you know, this is about to go down. You sure this is what you want to do? Because I want to make sure this, I don't want you to feel pressure. You know, if you don't want to, it's cool. You can say, no, I ain't going to be mad. And, you know, when you look at someone's faces, they look at you like, what's wrong with you? You don't want it? And I'm like, nah, you know, you seem a little skittish. You know, I'm just letting you know, if you don't want to do this, we cool. Cause I had some cuss out. What you mean I can't drink? What you mean? Oh, I can drink and still. I say, I ain't saying you can't drink. I'm just saying the first time we do it, you can't be drunk. Third time I don't care. Third time we'll couple. But the first couple of times I need you to be a sound mind, because it was just, you know, as I met a different group of older men that truly respected women, not use women as props. I learned to change the way I move. Cause like I say, we're not finna drink. We're not finna do a bunch of drinking and have sex. Not initially. We can do this, and then we can move forward. But cause I'm hearing all these stories. Yo, man, just get her drunk. Give her some weed. Give her this. Then you know, when she say, nah, you know, just put your hand up under her shirt. You know, unbutton her pants. Do this, do that. They telling you all these things that, you know, in hindsight, dude, you know, you telling me to be a predator. You telling me to use my strength. You know, lay on top of her. Because she's doing this and doing that, that means she want it. And it's like, damn, you know, this, but this is what we hear. This is what's commonplace. This is what we gotta stop. This is why it's important that me and Javon talk to our sons, and as best we can talk to our daughters. But for me, it's more important that the mothers talk to their daughters, let them know, and then get the dads to co-sign or get the uncle to co-sign. If you don't want to, you ain't got to. I don't care how far you done went. I don't care if y'all on this cruise ship to the Barbados. If you don't want to, you ain't got to, just because he took you somewhere. Because, you know, it's funny, like I say, we all talk about it. When you do something, aren't you, when you say you're going to go on a trip with a man, aren't you kind of acquiescing to sex? And as a group, we'll say, yeah. But clearly that's not the law, and it ain't right. And it just makes no sense that we even still try to push this narrative. I see Dr. Deb showed up, and Dr. Deb, like I said, Dr. Deb is my psychology friend, and she does a lot with kids. And this is who I really want for us to start impressing upon, because some of us adults, we're stuck in our ways, but we can stop passing on bad information. We can stop letting other people pass on bad information, so that the next generation that follow us ain't doing the same thing. And we're slowly but surely breaking down our women to believe that they're less than when they shouldn't be. So, Dr. Dale, what you got for us?
One thing I heard before I got in was Javon saying what he says to his sons. And we need to be talking to our daughters and our sons. I told my son didn't want to talk to me about him having sex with girls. I found the condoms. He would hide the condoms. I'm like, as long as you got the condoms, let's talk about it. But his dad was of the thought that, man, get as much as you can, as often as you can, from as many as you can. And I think somebody put in the chat, the conqueror. And so that's what my husband was teaching him. You know, my thing was, dude, you know, be careful where you place this thing, okay? Be careful how you put yourself out there. So going back to the generational conversation, we're not having the conversations that we need to be having with our sons and our daughters at this point. You know, I had a young lady who was her first sexual encounter was with someone who was older than she was, and she was on lock as far as she had to have sex. Okay, then she hooked up with someone who was around about her age, and she was totally, her whole thing was about having sex. Okay. And, you know, working with her, it's like, okay, tell me where this is coming from and how this, you know, what your thought process is in this. But we have to get back to teaching our sons and our daughters about sex. Let's go back to the football player who had sex with a female, and the parents wanted to press charges on him. Consensual sex. The parents end up pressing charges on him, high school student. I think he was an athlete, football player. And, you know, he ended up in a situation where his whole livelihood and his whole life was backdoored for having sex, not knowing, I need to think about where I'm going and what I'm getting ready to do. Okay. So it is generational. We have to talk to our kids, our daughters, and our sons about what they're doing, who they're doing it with. No. If I say no, the answer is no. I put in the chat, been there, done that, where I allowed myself to get in some situations where when it happened, I'm like, how the ham sandwich did I get? No, how the hell did I get it? How the hell? You know, and so it became a lesson. So if you take me out, if I say we going out, we agree to go out, and somebody said it earlier, ain't nothing happening. I need to be upfront, ain't nothing happening. But something else we need to understand too, you know, this generation that we're dealing with now, intercourse is sex. Oral sex is not sex. Make it make sense, okay? We're also dealing with a generation of young people who are trying to create their sexual identity, okay? If you notice, I have she, her. So you know what to call me. I am a female, I identify as a female. But in this generation, we have so many young individuals who are trying to identify where they are in their sexual identity, okay? And we have to be respectful of that, all right? We have to be respectful of that. I got it. Venereal disease, I tell kids all the time, you can get stuff that has all the alphabets. You don't know what it is, you don't know how to get rid of it, okay? So it is generational. It is generational. When you think about unplanned pregnancies, okay, that could have been solved. At one time, Fulton County Health Department was giving out condoms on a regular basis. You know, here's a stack of them, okay? So we have to, it is imperative that we talk to our sons and daughters in real language about having sex, what that looks like. If you take somebody out, if they don't want to have sex, are you asking the questions? See, we tend to backdoor. I don't know what people do in other races, but in our culture, we tend to backdoor. We don't ask the questions. We assume. We follow the crowd. We do what everybody else does. You know, if your homeboy said, "I hit that," okay, and I've had that experience where the homeboy says, "I hit that," then the other homeboy comes and says, "Well, if he hit it, I'm going to be able to hit it," okay? When the homeboy actually lied because he didn't hit it, he just wanted to, okay? So it's our generation, it's our culture, and we have to figure out a way how to break that down.
And like I said, and that's where, for me, I appreciate my trainer, I appreciate Christine, because I think Javon, this is the first time we've ever seen each other. I think I've been dealing with Mo. We enjoy being pushed by women to be better men. We don't take it as a personal challenge or emasculation, whatever the bullshit is y'all dudes keep hollering about. But we want to be better. The only way you can be better is by opening your mind and listening to these conversations. Every conversation ain't gonna be what you want to hear. Every conversation ain't gonna be comfortable. But you can't get better without having these conversations. That's just a part of life. What you got for me, Mo?
Yeah, no, that's critical right there, because a lot of times ego gets in the way, and male's ego, that's one of the worst enemies a man can have, is their ego, man. You got to get that under control and check. It'll make you do all kind of stupid things. You know what I mean? And you know, that conqueror mentality, you get that gets passed down from other males. You know, it happened to me. You know, they passed on that conqueror mentality, and then if I didn't buy into it, all of a sudden I'm a sucker. I start getting punked. I start getting taught the wrong stuff. You know what I mean? And so it's critical that you have somebody, a male who's grounded, a man who understands, you know, what it's like to respect a real woman, or you know, or real girls, you know, in your life, so they can give you the right pathway.
And I think it's imperative that we teach. Like I said, and I don't want to ignore the boys, but it's imperative that we teach our girls that they don't have to accept less than, because, and you know, we talked about this on other shows. Black men have been so used to women trying to uplift us that we don't try to uplift them. We'll dog them for saying something that we don't agree with, even if it is their truth. And women will have truths that a lot of times we're not comfortable with, we're not ready for, because we have our own reality. But Javon, me, Mo, we ain't never been women. We don't know what y'all go through. We don't know. And if we're closed-minded, the Deborahs, the Chris's, the Trinas, they won't ever tell us anything because they know that we ain't the ones that they can trust with. So there's always a bump in the relationship because there's only so far we can go if they can't speak their truth. You know, and I talk all the time about me and Trina having uncomfortable conversations, but it's made us better people because she can tell me things and I have to learn from her because I ain't too old to learn something, but I don't know what women go through until I talk to women. I know what Javon tell me women do. I know what Mo tell me women do, but Trina can tell me what men are doing to get some of these reactions. And that's where we have a communication gap because men don't want to say, yo, yeah, I had to get a drunk to get that. Men don't want to say, nah, I didn't get none, man. She didn't want to give me none, so I had to just let her ride. Be like, man, you spent all that money. You took her hand in there. You took her to Red Lobster and you ain't getting none. Javon don't want to be punked. Yo, man, I took her. Oh, yeah, I got them goods. And we live in that society where it's crazy that we still falling for this. Even though we all grown now, we don't worry about what nobody think about us. But is that true, Deb? I mean, don't we still care how we're viewed by society, especially our peers?
Somebody asked that question in the chat about how society functions on that idea. You know, my thing is where's the stopgap? When do we stop? Okay, you can take me out. I got a gift from a guy not long ago. It was a very expensive gift. I did not ask for it. Okay. It was very nice. But my thing was, first, why are you giving me that gift? What are you looking for? Okay. So being me, I said, we're not getting ready to do that right now. We're not. That's not what we're getting ready to go. You will not be getting anything from here. Okay. And so we have to have honest conversations, which we don't. And you said that earlier, Darren. We're not having honest conversations. You know, if you take me out and the question is, you taking me out to dinner or what else are we doing afterwards? So when you say society's function, you know, what's individual function? How are we, or why are we not having conversations with a person individually to say, you know, that was very nice of you to do that. However, we're not going to be sleeping together tonight. Okay. It's not going to happen. It may happen down the road, but this night, it's not going to happen. That's a conversation. Why is it so hard for us to have real conversations about what you are willing or unwilling to do? Okay. You take me out of town. What's your expectation? What are we going to do? Are we in the same room or are we in separate rooms? Okay. You know, if we go out of town, I can pay for my own room. All right. If that's not what I want to do, to sleep with you, have sex with you, screw you, whatever. Let's have that conversation. If we're not having that conversation, then what's the problem? What are we afraid of? To have real conversations with an individual about what I'm going to do, or what I'm not going to do, or what you're going to do, or what you expect from me, or what I expect from you. It's real conversations. We don't do that. We play games.
Yeah.
We play games. Go ahead. We play games.
Go ahead, Javon.
I think I have this saying. I said, date on your level. And I think that's why we don't be honest, because we don't want to date on our level. We want to buy a person's affection. We want to buy a person's sex. I learned the older I got, you know, when I was younger, being a taller, bigger guy, it was kind of cool. But as I became a grown man, I learned that how I look, I don't really have to kind of fool no woman. I could kind of just say, hey, I mean, folks know if they want to sleep with each other. People know that. When people meet, a woman know if she want to sleep with a man, and a man know if he want to sleep with a woman. The problem is the man don't want to be up front because the man is the one that's going to get rejected. My granddaddy used to say, holler at every cat, one of them gonna meow. So what I'm saying is a lot of brothers aren't confident enough to lead with, hey, how you doing? You're attractive. I'm attractive. Can we get it in? So a lot of brothers lead with, let's go to an expensive restaurant. Let's go on a trip. What woman not gonna accept that? You know what I'm saying? Like the sister here said she didn't, but what woman is not gonna accept that from a man as hard as it is to survive in today's society? You're gonna take on a free trip. I just think it's men's fault. It's up to men to be up front and say, hey, I love to go out on a trip with you. I'll pay if we having sex. If she say no, then say my bad, I'm sorry. I think that's men's fault.
And I'm gonna hit you from another end. But hold on. First of all, let's talk to Mel right quick. Mel says, I'm uncomfortable accepting anything because of unspoken expectations. So my first thing is, Mel, why don't you ask what he expects? I mean, because I ain't turning down shit. And as Trina would say, you can expect what you want to say, but I'm only going to agree to what I want to agree to. So accept the gift. Now, if the gifts come with conditions, then say no. But if it don't, man, everybody ain't got a right now ulterior motive. Part of what Javon was saying. Yes, I dated women with the expectation that sex was coming, not that day maybe. And I think that's where we get caught up. Sometimes men have an earlier window to want to have sex than the women, because I do think that they know they want to, but they got time frames because they want to know what it is. And this is where Javon's conversation is really important. Some women, whether we accept it or not, ain't looking for Mr. Right. They looking for Mr. Right now. And men don't know how to accept. We don't know how to accept being Mr. Right now. We want to think that we Mr. Right because we all think we smooth and suave and got game for days. When a woman tells us we Mr. Right now, a lot of us can't handle that mentally because that means they using us just like we're using them. And that's where the conversation gets a little
That's
bit
what I was saying, yeah.
And it's crazy. But Mel, accept gifts. Just, hey, what you expecting for this? What are you expecting? Because in my world, I ain't going on no trip out of town with no woman I ain't already had sex with. Because out of town ain't gonna be the first time because it's too much pressure. And as Trina would say, I ain't trying to catch no case from nobody. I got a career and I got shit to lose. But these are the conversations that we gotta have, and women can't be afraid to initiate them either. I mean, if he cut you off, what did you lose? Mm-hmm. What did you lose? You lost the opportunity to get assaulted. Is that a big deal? Is that a big deal? Mm-hmm. And as men, we gotta accept that, hey, everybody ain't gonna want what we got.
And you're right, Javon. I'm sorry. You're right, Javon. A woman will know when she's attracted to a man. Okay. Cut to the chase. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna entertain him. All right. I'm gonna have conversations because I already know. Okay. So having said that, once I do that, I'm looking to see where we're going after that. What does it look like? All right. So if it's just gonna be, we're gonna hook up. I already know that that's just what it's gonna be. It's gonna be the hookup, and we're gonna keep it moving. Okay. So because women tend to equate sex with love. Men equate sex as it's an activity. It's movement. Okay. And so for us, we're on two different planes when it happens. Okay. So sometimes men don't recognize when a woman can flip it and do the same thing to them. This is just sex. Go. I can keep this moving. Versus being in a relationship, okay? So having those conversations I've had that adventure where it was sex, and then I became interested, and then the interest, I could see that he was in another direction. So guess what? I changed my direction, and my direction equaled his direction. You in another direction, it's just gonna continue to be sex. So now you feeling something. Guess what? I don't feel the same thing anymore. Because when I was trying to feel something to be in a relationship, it was just sex. So let's go back to we just keep it in that part right there. Okay. So having honest conversations, just, I don't know why we don't. Maybe it's because we don't want to appear that we're not equipped or we're less than to have an honest conversation. What does this look like? What is this going to be? Where are we going with this? Okay. So I don't know, but understand
if I could,
that when the tricks start being playing, two people can play the same game. Two people can play the same game.
That's kind of like what I was saying at first when I said that we are playing the game. I think some of what's happening, I think this is kind of like two conversations, because on one hand, you have the seriousness. You have seriousness of, what Javon was saying, like, I don't understand maybe the psychological part that's happening. However, on the other hand, I think that you have women who are, some of this is because women are ovulating once a month and they out on the prowl. And when you say that you have to date to have sex, not necessarily, because you just want your itch scratched. And when you're young and you're not confident about sex, you're not confident how to have conversations. You get what I'm saying? So you're over there and we have decided I'm going to let him get all the way here to get my itch scratched. In order, because something is really driving you. You really, really want it. You just don't want to go all the way. Now, some of this is generational, because I think you said you're fifth. What'd you say? Somebody is 58 or something like that, 53. I'm 48. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is that it wasn't okay to be a hoe back then. So I'm trying to keep my body count up. But I don't have a boyfriend. So ever since I'm 12, every month I got an itch. I'm trying to get scratched with no boyfriend. And I'm trying to find a way to get as close to it as possible. I don't understand that. So when we talk about the conversations we need to have with our daughters, is what to do in those moments when you are out here, looking to hump on something, because in turn, you're winding up at a young man's house who has been given advice that you are not aware of, and now you can be getting so close to the edge that you're in an uncomfortable situation where y'all is damaging involved. So I don't think that women want to have sex, not in my generation. I don't think they want to have sex for boyfriends. I think they want to have sex like it's something to do. And I think the older you get is the more you do it just to do it, like going to the movies. I don't think it matters like it should matter to women anymore. So that's why a conversation like this and hearing men that say, hey, I shouldn't have did you like that, and this was on purpose and stuff like that. I just think women need to understand that we may think we're going over there to play a game with a man that we don't understand that we're playing, but the drive is for real because it's biological.
And that's the thing, the conversations, and to stop it, we got to have them with the kids. We got to have them with these girls. We can't keep avoiding thinking things going to change automatically just because we thought about them. Nobody wants to have the real conversation. Now, I talked before. There are lots of women who know what they want. Knowing what you want and being able to express it are two different things. So some women can't say it because they don't want to be seen as loose or this or that, but they know they don't want, they're emotionally unavailable. They're physically available. They're emotionally unavailable. Lots of men are like that. But we've learned to play the game and say the things we think we're supposed to say. So people are getting into line relationships only to be let down because their truths were never their truth. But how do we pass this on to stop it? How do we make sure that this ain't repeated over and over and over again where we're doing, and rape sounds like such a harsh word, but where we're not sexually assaulting each generation as it comes along, and they growing up with trauma that's being repressed over and over again to the point they think it's normal.
Tell the truth. Just tell the truth. As a woman, and my daughter growing up, and she's an adult, I told the truth. I told her what it looks like, what it sounds like. You know, you need to decide whether or not this is something that's going to benefit you, harm you, etc. Don't take the nickels. If they're wooden nickels, look at them. If they're wooden nickels, listen to the conversation. If the conversation doesn't sound right to you, move on. You know, understand what you're willing to accept and what you're not willing to accept. Understand, you know, your own limitations. What kind of relationship do you want? What kind of relationship do you want to be in? You know, and so somebody put in, why are we afraid to have those conversations? Because of control? I don't think it's about control. I think it's about fear. If I tell you up front who I am, what I am, how I am, then your fear is this person is going to leave. I have no fear if I tell you who I am and how I am. Either you accept it or you don't.
No, Shawty, you just scared you're gonna get caught up. You know what it is. That's all. You just scared you're gonna get caught up.
Who?
That's the answer when you tell your truth. You just scared you're gonna get caught up because you're gonna follow me. That's why.
No.
That's what we do with everything. We give it a defensive spin so it works for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't think it's fear. Sometimes I think it's just pure ignorance. I mean, we'll keep saying this, but you know, one thing I said before, sometimes we can't say who we are because we don't know who we are. As Christina was talking, if you don't know what this itch is, you need to get stretched. You don't know how to say it. So you say things or you do things. It's not fear that's driving you. It's just ignorance. Nobody's told you how to do these things. Who told us how to have honest conversations? Who told us how to speak our truth or even find out what our truth is? You know, Javon, Mo, we talk about what we learned from the OGs telling us that it was okay to be aggressive. It was okay to trick women into having sex. That was our truth. That was our truth because we were told by our elders. Dead wrong. So at some point, the truth, fear ain't it. Sometimes it's just pure ignorance, and we don't like to be called ignorant because we think it just means we're stupid. Javon, you still with me?
With you. Yeah, like I said, I just think ultimately, and I'm gonna be honest, it's like when a man and a woman pregnancy. I tell sisters, ultimately, that's your responsibility. And I'm going to tell you why, because you're the one left holding the bag. You see what I'm saying? So I think in a relationship, it's ultimately a man's responsibility to quarterback and be the guider of truth. I think a man should pry. I think things that we know as men, why we acting like women have a hard time expressing themselves. We know women are judged more for their sexual appetites. We know women are judged more and society judges them more. So I feel like as a man, it's our job to lead a dating situation. I feel like men complain because, like I always say, I'll keep going back to date on your level. I taught my sons, first date, ask that woman, any girl, go somewhere with you that you don't have to spend a dime. If a woman don't want to go out with you where you don't spend no money, she don't want you. Just go ahead and cut your losses. If a woman like you, I taught my son, and he actually did. I said, son, if that girl like you, tell her you gotta, at last minute, you gotta go cut your mama's grass. Cancel the date. She hopped in the car and came over here with him. She liked the boy. And that's the thing that people don't understand. If a woman like you, she like you. If she don't, you don't. And I feel no sorrow for a man who's trying to buy his way in, cajole his way in, coax his way into a woman's heart. I hope she tear your heart out your chest. Because as you a man, you know of a woman like you. A dog, a cat know of something like him. So I think I just put all that responsibility on men when it comes to dating and being upfront. What do we want out of this situation? Where is this going? I ain't got this much money to spend. I don't believe in paying for hair and nails. For men, be upfront, because at the end of the day, for lack of a better word, our sisters are kind of being suited, meaning sisters choose from the best of the 5 guys that like them. Women don't go out and pick their guy. 5 guys present themselves and she take the best of the 5. So as a man, when you present yourself as one of those 5, you got to be upfront and real. I just think it's always a man's fault because a man should be the leader of communication when it comes to him and a woman. And that may be chauvinistic, but I just feel like a man should be the leader when it comes to communication and us being honest. Okay, now you say this, now you're not sure. Are you sure? I just think a man should be lead conversation. I just don't think a man can say he was tricked or confused in any situation dealing with a woman.
Yes, he can, Javon. Yes, he can.
Do you think that men still use these tactics as they get older because,
so like,
just because it's something they've always done?
I think men want women they ain't supposed to have, so they put their nose out there and get their head chopped off. If you're trying to talk to a woman that you're not supposed to have, you're going to do things that you wouldn't normally do, and you're going to regret it.
I understand that. I understand. Again, I think that it's a lot of conversations happening where you have men that are giving bad advice at a young age, right? And it could be what they just think is a jewel on how to get what you want as a young buck. But as you get older, maybe you're supposed to still keep trying to go at a person like that. Again, that's when you're saying, Javon, if you bind your way into somebody's heart, you will find yourself in positions where you're getting played with like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think it's a two-way street. Javon, I really think it's a two-way street. I think that both of us, both sexes, are culpable in this relationship thing, in this movement. We share the responsibility. Can both of us be tricked?
I can't be down here. I can't be down here.
We all can be tricked. Okay, but I think we share responsibility in the communication, in understanding what I want, what you want, us being able to have that dialogue and that conversation. No, that's not, I'm not doing that. You saying, no, I'm not doing that. And going back, we got to go back. We have to, as in our culture, okay? Because this is all we have in our culture, is helping our young people to understand the liabilities, the limitations, the cans, the cannots, the not putting themselves in compromising positions, the knowing themselves, knowing the situations, knowing the relationships. It's about dialogue. We don't, I remember growing up and I'm a whole lot older than anybody on the show, okay? So I remember growing up, and the way my mom explained sex to me was, you keep your panties up, you keep your skirt down. I think that was basically it. What the hell was that? Okay? What the hell was that? All right? You keep your panties up and your skirt down. No clue whatsoever, okay? So what I learned, I had to learn on my own, not by doing, but by reading. So I did a lot of research when I was younger about sex and having relationships, etc. And so I was able to put things in perspective, okay? So most of the time what I did, I knew what I was doing, okay? The majority of the time, young people don't know what they're doing. They're just doing it based on, like you said, what the OGs said in the past. I didn't have a female OG, okay? Like I said, when she said that, it was like, okay, let's figure this out. Okay. But if I'm a female and I'm around females and I got daughters and granddaughters, it's imperative for me to say to them, let me tell you how this works. Let me tell you what this looks like. Okay. Let me have a conversation with you. All right. But the problem is if I was the type of person that never had a conversation with my child or my daughter, guess what she's not going to do? She has not learned to have a conversation with her daughters. Okay. And so that's where the generational thing comes in. Because I learned on my own and I taught myself, I taught her. And in the meantime, she's teaching my granddaughter the same principles, the same thoughts, the same ideas. This is how you carry yourself. This is what it looks like. This is what you need to expect. And so we have to, it burdens me that we are still in a lot of positions that we are as a culture, okay? That we are still creating a generation and generations who have no clue on so many levels, all right? That have no clue on life, on sex, on living, and what we're doing is that curse keeps on going. That curse keeps on going. And it just transfers from generation to generation.
So I know
I'm sorry. You want to go first?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you can go first and then I'll go after you.
Okay, so I was just going to say that I think it's a noble thing that, Javon wants to think that the men should take like responsibility, 100% responsibility for leading the conversations or whatever, and I definitely do agree with what he said about, women, we have more pressure on us and we're more judged as far as when it comes to sex by society and everything. However, I think that girls, and I'm always going to speak about girls first because that's who we have to teach so they know what to do by the time they become an adult. We need to teach them how to accept themselves. A big part of people being afraid of how they're judged is they have not learned how to accept themselves. So once you accept yourself, you're not a whole bunch concerned about who does not accept you for who you are. Me personally, I'm gonna say what I gotta say. I'm gonna be who I am. And for the guy that does not like that, he's just not my guy. He's not for me. There is nothing, and I mean nothing, I can say to this man, or I've said things to him that ran everybody else away, and I'm okay with that. Because you're not my guy, you're not for me. So once they learn how to accept themselves and they're taught that, what is the saying? Those who mind don't matter and those who matter don't mind. That's so true. The people that matter are not going to mind you being who you are and speaking your truth and being verbal about the things that you have to say. Because if we are taught to always let the man lead all the conversations, or I know you didn't say all the conversations, I'm exaggerating a bit, but if the man, then that teaches us to stay quiet until we're spoken to.
So, yeah, absolutely. So I wanna just touch on what Dr. Deb said, and she was I feel like she was kind of alluding to something I've been thinking about for a long time, and it was kind of focused on principles and training. And so if you think about it, right? Let's just take white people for a second. They got Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. That's primarily for white folks, right? Think about the Spanish population. They got something called a quinceañera and a quinceañero. When the kids reach 16, they have a celebration. They probably got support systems so they can help them out. What do little black boys and little black girls have? Yeah, exactly. Nothing. We lost that on the travel from Africa, because in Africa, we had manhood training. Right, and the women would teach the women what it meant to be a woman. So back here, right over here now, we in America, we need to figure out how do we get those spaces back together, right? We need a rite of passage space for the young boys. We need a rite of passage space for the young girls. Once we get those together, then these conversations right here, they won't be isolated. We'll be able to pass that information on, and it'll make sense. And then the generation will start changing.
I want to kind of clean up what I said so people can be really clear about what I'm saying. Men and women are different. Women tend to, and that's just being general, but let me just give you an example. You could beat a woman every day and she could still feel like you love her. You can protect and provide for a woman and she can feel like you don't treat her special. So when I say in that, I mean, as a man, when you're choosing a woman, it's your responsibility to talk to her and communicate in a way where thoughts are happening, not feelings. When I met my wife was so head over heels in love with me. Man, come on now. She would have did anything. When a woman love a man and like a man, and she got those strong feelings for a man, it's up to that man to say, I said, hold on, let me pick your sons up from school first and see do I get along with them. For you liking me too much, and I don't know if I like your kids yet. I had to strategically. Now I could have just went along with how she felt, picked the kids up, and we got married. So what I'm simply saying is, as a man, when you go choose your woman, it's your responsibility to pick a woman, but also communicate in a way where we have a total understanding based on actual thoughts and actual what's right or not wrong, but not so much with feelings. So that's what I mean when I say, I'm not saying women shouldn't. My wife say everything she want to say, but my wife wanted to put my son in early college and he had never made the honor roll because she felt like it was a cool thing because she was in college and her other son was in college. I said, baby, that he never made the honor roll. We can't put him in early college, but it felt great. So I'm not diminishing anything. I'm just saying when it comes to communications, I think a man is more logical and he needs to be saying, okay, how much money are we going to spend on this? How often do you get your nails done? What's your credit? What's my credit? I just think a man needs to be more strategic in making sure he pick his woman, because at the end of the day, my granddaddy said that woman act like what you made her. So if your woman is a certain way, treating you bad, you made her like that because you ain't picked no woman that treated you bad. So I think you didn't assess. I just think a man needs to be very cognitive about communication.
I understand what you're saying. I don't even know. Is he still talking?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I get what you're saying. As far as the whole logic, emotional communication goes.
And that's part of the thing where we talked about when I met with Mo. Some men have to accept what they are. Every man who wants to be that dude ain't that dude. Sometimes the woman is a lead, and there has to be a balance, and everybody has to know, because a lot of men think that just because they're a man that they make the best decisions. And a mustache, a beard, and a penis does not make you the best decision maker. It just means you got a mustache, a beard, and a penis. And I think that's what sometimes some of these dudes get lost in translation because they're not equipped to take the head of household role. And that's where some women get confused because sometimes they want it and sometimes they don't need it. But either way, at some point, if you can't have, in my world, if you can't have uncomfortable conversations, you're not meant for each other because you're built on living lies. Because y'all can't have conversations that regular people don't have because you only want to know the good things. But people say, oh, we never argue, we never disagree. And I'm like, how in the hell do you never argue or never disagree? To me, that's your world. But when we're trying to get better and break generational curses, when we're trying to stop our seeds from making the same dumbass mistakes we made, because we can only tell them don't do. But if we don't give them valid reasons to build up their esteem, to build up their knowledge base where they can make good decisions when we're not around, we're doing them an injustice. When we don't tell the stories, and it sucks, but sometimes we have to tell stories of our failures for them to truly understand it. You can't just say, hey, don't do this or don't do that. We have to give them a real world example. Like I said, and I hate to keep going to Christina's story, but she has to give that example to the girls for them to understand that, hey, you got to do to pull a gun on you. These are things that we did. We learned from them, but we can't be afraid to share them because we want to appear that we've never made mistakes. And this is how we stop the generational curses. We have to speak on them. We have to say, hey, this is where I made my mistake. This is what I did wrong. These are the things where you can do better. And we have to let them be part of the conversation. And it sucks, but we have to learn to speak their language. We can't keep talking to them like we want to be talked to. We have to say it in words that they understand and say, hey, this is what we did. Back when I was growing up, this was okay. This is not okay now. You can't just force yourself on a woman and try to you'll fuck around and end up in jail. And as Dr. Dale was telling the story, it was about a football player who was actually from Douglas County. He ended up having sex with a girl. The mom let them live in the house. And then it happened, he was 1 year above the right age. It messed up his whole career because they got him for rape. It just can't happen. Whereas, in my day, it was nothing for 15, 14, 16-year-old girls to be having sex with 20-year-old boys. It ain't happening like that now without consequences. And this is what we have to talk about here and let girls know it's okay not to have sex until you're ready. It's okay. But we gotta be equipped to have these, again, uncomfortable conversations. And I'm with you, Javon. I'm with you, Mo. At some point, the men have to step up and start letting our boys know that, hey, don't do this. Don't be us. Yeah, we survived. We excel, but don't be us. We were stupid. We got away with it. We were lucky. And then we need the women to have the same conversation so they can know, hey, as Trina said, if to those that it matters, they don't mind. To those that mind, they don't matter. And we have to stop worrying about what the public thinks about us, because this peer pressure thing, like I said, as I reached out to people and I'm hearing guys talk about how they got pressured into doing things they didn't want to do sexually. I'm hearing girls say they got pressured into doing it. And some of the girls, it was amazing. They weren't even pressured by boys. They were pressured by other girls. Go on and give him some. Stop playing with that man. Give him some. If you don't give him some, we're going to give him some. So they're being pressured from the outside to have sex with somebody that they really don't, that they thinking about having sex with in a couple of months, but not today. And they're being pressured by their own peer group, not even by men. And that's what caught me off guard, because I didn't even think about that portion of it.
And, I think it's hard sometimes to hear the true stories of like their mindset, like, when women like to stay so strong and ain't nobody never going to do them like that. But it's those of us that happen to. It's those of us that's walked around with low self-esteem that just want to. It's those of us that haven't had no daddy around, so we get with a man, we just want to hug from him. Don't nobody talk about that. You know what I'm saying? And so when you hear somebody truth, it's hard to swallow for those that's listening. Because, like, as I'm having this conversation, I'm thinking in my mind, so many more times I put myself in the situation of the 14-year-old, when I was 14, and how I've been in a situation where a guy has not been happy with me playing with him like that, or I've been in a situation, I'm a rape victim from standing on the stage for a whole year doing poetry, pulling Tommy boxes out my pocketbook, looking at dudes at the bar, walking over to them, getting drinks paid for me. Then next thing you know, somebody kidnaps me, and you could tell he kind of know me. You know what I'm saying? The first time I lose my virginity 3 weeks after I get my first cycle, because I like a boy so much, and him and my best friend made a bet that I wasn't going to do it. You know what I'm saying? So I get that boys have to take accountability for the pressure. You know what I'm saying? But I think when we saying that we have to have these conversations on both sides, we have to also have them as women that allow a woman who has been very insecure, not had somebody to build her up, not really understand what it's supposed to look like, but still being pushed by a biological thrush every month. And it's a lot of things that's happening constantly as this development is happening within all of us and around us. And it's easy to say to just have a conversation, but to the core, nobody knows how to have it. Nobody knows how to talk. Nobody knows how to be vulnerable. Nobody knows how to be accountable. You know how many times I've talked about, I have discussed my rape, trying to give back, of just the fact that I got dressed to put on my fucking girl outfit. I said it to myself in the mirror, I'm gonna drive a nigga crazy. I'm gonna drive a nigga crazy. I'm the Little Kim of poetry. I did it. I did it, and it happened, and I did it. And that doesn't excuse the behavior of the person who didn't like the game I was playing or wanted more from me. I have to be accountable to what I was doing in my pot every day. You know what I'm saying? And it would help to be able to have somebody that I could talk to about how maybe I was feeling, but I don't really know if I thought I was feeling anything at that time. Like, I didn't realize that my self-esteem is low. Everybody is doing this. We kids. Then you grow up and you bring this over into who you are, you know what I'm saying? So, again, I mean, I would love to be the woman that sit up here and say that I was so strong to never, to be able to look at a guy and be like, I wasn't. I don't care if you want to mess with me, but I was there because I wanted to be messed with as much as I could be messed with, and by the time I got with Javon, I had really realized how many emotional impulses I was making throughout my life, that I was just lucky to not have killed myself along the way, because I really wasn't paying attention. And we need to talk about, that part. So as men carry this responsibility on their shoulders, it's up to women to really be honest about how we really feeling, on the inside, and not, shy away from the fact that we don't always feel, great about ourselves. And sometimes sex gives us that validation that we searching for.
I absolutely totally agree. And that's why I was saying, when I speak, I'm mainly speaking about what we gotta, how we gotta teach the young girls, because all the grown men, we grown now. It's kind of, we can't go backwards and go address those old things, but it's one of those things that we can be honest, like with our girls or other girls or whatever, about the things that we went through during that time. And like you said, when you're going through it, you don't know what you're going through. You don't realize it until later on. You look back like, damn, I was really insecure. I had low self-esteem. Like, damn, I was just doing this. Why did I mess with him? Why did I? You don't know that until you surpass that stage, until you've gotten stronger. Then you can look back and see how weak you were.
Dr. Deb, how can we start helping build up a better self-esteem and a better knowledge of self for some of these young women? What kind of things can we start with giving our young girls?
One thing I would like to do is thank the young lady who shared her story. I'm sure that was difficult for you to share, and you open up, and that's powerful. Okay, that's very powerful. We've been talking about conversations. Your whole show is about conversations, okay? And conversations are not that hard. We pick a topic and we talk about that topic. And we talk about that topic and to the point where we open it, we dissect it, we maneuver it around, we massage it, we marinate on it until we come to some conclusions as to, does everybody understand what we're talking about? Okay, that's how we have conversations, just like we're doing now. We open it, we moving around, we figure out how to give it so it's received. All conversations are not received. Okay, whether it's in a group setting, whether it's in we have sex education in school. I don't know what that looks like. I've never been in a sex education class in school, but we have to get to the point where what we're communicating, our young people are picking up. The way we're saying it, you listen to, I listen to rap music sometimes, listen to R&B, back in the day, R&B talked about some of the same things that rap music talks about, but rap music goes harder and deeper than I think R&B went, you know. But how bringing the conversation to the table, pick one topic at a time, dissect that topic, whether it's learning how to use condoms, whether it's understanding sexually transmitted diseases, whether it's understanding how to have a conversation in a relationship, how to, you know, young men, young women, how to say no, young men, how to accept that no, what it looks like, you know. A young lady said a few minutes ago where, you know, playing games and, you know, and I remember those games where you get semi-intimate with a dude and you get him to this point and then you're like, nope, ain't nothing happening, you know, understanding and teaching our young people what that looks like, okay? You know, because that's a reality. We've all done it. We've all been involved in that in some kind of way, but it needs to be a conversation. And, you know, I'm a talker. So it's nothing that I won't talk about, sex, whatever, you know. I tell the kids, I talk to them the same way they talk. And they be looking at me like, I say, yeah, if I don't give it to you the way you give it to me, you're not going to understand it. So giving it to them the same way, you know, they're saying it so they can relate to it. But it is how we have conversations, what we converse about, the way we have the conversations, you know, and it's not tomorrow or next week, it's now. It's now. We have to stay in the here now.
I'm with you, Deb. I'm like you. I'll talk about anything, anytime, any day. I don't care. It don't bother me none. But I definitely do understand. You know, so to us, it's like it's just conversation, not a big deal. But you know, to some people, it is a big deal. You know, they do still fear being judged, and they have, you know, there's that shame that comes along with, you know, admitting things that they've done and stuff like that. So, you know, I do understand that it's not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy.
And let me just add
as a former high school teacher, there's one thing I always say, and I would tell my students, we're going to come to a consensus. And like I said earlier, in this subject, I tell the sisters, you guys are the ones getting left with the babies. You make sure protection if something is happening. And I'm telling the brothers on this subject, you the one gonna catch that rape charge. We need to tell these boys, regardless of what girls are doing, the consensus is this. She needs to say, yes, you can have sex with me. I don't care how much of the mood it ruins. I don't care how much it changes the vibe. The boy is the one that's gonna get caught with the rape charge. That whole kiss her and see, touch her breast, rub her coochie, no. We need to teach our young men the consensus is, if she like you and if y'all kissing, ask her, do you want to have sex? If she like you enough and she want to do it, let her say yes. Because at the end of the day, you are the one that's going to get caught with the rape charge. So that's the consensus that I would like to say. I don't care what. And see, my wife, I understand my wife and accountability. This is where we disagree. I feel like no matter what, that man put pressure on that girl, no matter how she wanted to play, like Doc said, we're going to play and we're going to see. But at the end of the day, the man want to penetrate. So we doing a little bit more than that woman is. And I just think men need to accept that and accept the role that we have to play and getting consent. Because now some of the stuff that we know we did as men on this panel in today's time, you're going to jail for.
Make sure you tell them to have some condoms in that wallet, okay? Make sure you tell them to have some condoms in that wallet. All right. If not,
I know I'd have got locked up for some of the stuff that I did.
If not,
I'd be in jail.
Pregnancy, but for those things with the alphabets that you just can't wipe off and get rid of, you know. And, you know, the unwanted pregnancy is paramount, but that other stuff is, that's a lifelong thing. A baby is a lifelong thing, but the other stuff is a lifelong. So to make sure they have a condom in their pocket.
And this is where, you know, like I said, we always talk about uncomfortable conversations, but the other thing that we always talk about is accountability and responsibility. And Javon, this is what we got to teach our boys. Be accountable and responsible. Quit blaming everything on everybody else. Well, I thought this, I thought that. Part of what you're saying, I'm in total agreement with. Get compliance. Make sure this is what she wants to do. I would say find a different way of saying things so that you don't kill the mood, because you can't say, hey, can I stick?
Yeah. You know, if you smooth, you could just say, we fucking.
we got to be more accountable and responsible, especially when it comes to listening and learning. Because, like I said, when you made the post and I looked at all the guys who started, you know, trying to call you out or saying these women wanted this, these women wanted that. Yeah, but sometimes we wanted sex, but we still didn't get it. Don't mean we could make somebody give it to us. So even if they eventually wanted it, you know, the guys is what made me say something on your post, because I'm just looking at how many of them calling you out. Women won't accept accountability. Well, women unaccepted they had sex. They just saying they wasn't ready when they had it. They didn't say they wouldn't have had it. Your wife didn't say your wife admitted that she would have still went back the next day. She just wanted to do it on her terms. So a lot of these dudes don't want to accept none of that. You know, we want to be kings. We want to be in charge of shit until it's time to be accountable and responsible. Then, Trina wouldn't have did all that. Or she wouldn't have came up. She wouldn't have sat in my lap. She wouldn't have did this. She wouldn't have did that. Well, that's not true, because foreplay and sex are totally different things, and we have to have this. But dudes do not want to be accountable and responsible. We just want to, when that comes up, we want to push all the blame on them. Oh, she didn't say no. She didn't do this. She didn't do that. But did you really check? Did you watch how she tensed up? Did you watch how her ribs got a little, you could feel her muscles, because she didn't really like what was going on? But
did you ask her?
We pressured her to do it because that's what we wanted. We pushed the envelope a little bit harder. Well, damn, we already here now. You might as well, you know, yada, yada, yada. So yeah, we do have to be way more accountable and responsible if we want to keep being these kings and leaders that we claim ourselves to be, and stop trying to be manipulators. Because we say one something, but we act more like pimps than kings. We trying to trick our way into sex, and that's what's got to stop on the male end. Like I said, I appreciate Trina. I appreciate your wife. I appreciate Dr. Dale for coming in and giving us what women think, because we swear we know what they think. But the way they dress don't dictate the way they think. The way they kiss us doesn't dictate what they think. It just dictates what they wearing or what they kissing. We got to control that narrative if we want to continue to be these leaders that we keep claiming. And it's important for us men to have conversations with boys. It's important for the women to have conversations with their daughters. And it's extra important that we start having these conversations together, because more men need to learn to listen to what these women have gone through, so we can see how we have damaged them. And then we can start making changes. We can start breaking generational curses if we know. Because if they don't say this, we don't know. And as I was telling Mel, the men want to hear this. The men want to get better. If a dude you telling this to is already being dismissive and start talking shit, then know that he ain't the one for you. He's one of them. He is that dude. And this ain't political, but when the whole R. Kelly and the Bill Cosby thing came up, and I'm seeing all these dudes who defending them, and then you wonder why your women ain't talking to you, because you ain't trying to hear nothing they're saying. Oh, if they didn't want, they wouldn't have went over there this time of night. If they didn't want, so you missing the whole message. That most of us have put ourselves in bad situations. Some of us got to walk away from them. Some of us got to walk away from them with no scars. It don't mean we put ourselves in bad situations knowing bad shit was gonna happen. I'm sure, as you said, Javon, when you walked into that bathroom, cocaine wasn't even on your list of shit to be doing. You was looking for a white girl, and you ran into the white girl and not a white girl. And you know, and things happen. Everybody at some point, I think, has wanted to fit in and done some things that had they had 35 more seconds to think about it, they wouldn't have done it. But in that time frame, it's like you on Jeopardy. You got 5 seconds to come up with an answer, or that's it. And we do what we do. And this is where we have to be more accountable and responsible. Like I said, I want to thank you and your wife just for giving me the time to come on. I want to thank Trina, Dr. Dale, because these are conversations that we have to have, and we have to come up with some solutions, not just bitch and whine about it. What are we going to do to prevent this from happening to the next generation? I said,
brother, can I say this before we get out of here? I want to thank you because we live in a world with social media. When a black man validates a black woman's feelings or stand up for her feelings, he gets accused of trying to get some pussy. No. And I'm so sick of that. Every time I say something, like with this situation, all the guys on my page, you just trying to cap for the women, you trying to get some pussy and da-da-da-da-da. So I appreciate you for even noticing that. And you got a beautiful lady, I got a beautiful lady. Man, we ain't trying to get no pussy just because we standing up for women. There are times where if a black woman stand up for a black man, they call her a pick me. We live in a world where it's so much where it's like, hey man, everybody not trying to get sex just because they validate the opposite gender's feelings. So I appreciate you for even having this platform, because a lot of times that's the first thing a black man trying to say. Oh, he trying to get some pussy. No, bro. We was pseudo raping these women, man. We was putting pressure on women, bro. Just cut the shit.
But and this is my thing, Javon. So what if I'm trying to get some pussy? Tell me where I'm wrong. If you can't tell me, because as you said, at the end of the day, ain't that part of the end game? We want some, they want some. But tell me where my facts are not factual. If this is happening, oh, you just doing this, you cap. Javon, how tall are you?
6'6".
Okay, so you that dude, you 6'6". You know what I'm saying? You that dude that everybody say everybody want. So you can get women. So you ain't gotta make a
and I don't know why they do me like that. I got white teeth, perfect beard, hairline, 45 years old, man, still in shape. I don't know why I'm like, why you gotta say I'm trying to get some pussy by being honest for my sisters, man? Women like me anyway, guy. Like, cut this shit.
And that be my thing. It's like, dude, I'm already getting some, so I ain't gotta make a post to get none. I ain't like you. You try to degrade women into getting some. I want a woman who's strong and confident. That's when it's a conquest. It ain't no conquest if she already. I just want to, ain't nobody got time for that. And it's funny when they start doing it because they have nothing to combat it with other than what you trying to do. So all these women who saying it's true, you saying what? They lying? You saying that they lying about these events that happen to them? You just don't want. Oh, I ain't never done it. I bet if we do a deep dive, I bet you have. You just don't want to accept it. And to me, that's the crazy part. That's what I say, when I looked at it and I'm seeing it, and a couple of your people said it, these hit dogs is hollering loud. Oh, you do. Oh, here you go. You defending bullshit. What's wrong? What's the lie? Okay, yeah, maybe you didn't do it, but I guarantee you know somebody who did do it. You've heard these stories. We've heard these stories, whether we took part in them or not. We've heard the stories of guys tricking girls and letting their friends go through them, and the girls didn't say nothing. We shamed them in high school. Oh, you that girl they ran a train on. She was never that girl that got taken advantage of. She was never that girl, because we want to shame her.
And if they didn't do it, they couldn't do it. If they didn't do it, they couldn't do it.
So,
because if you had any type of handsomeness or girls wanted you, you did it.
And you didn't have to make no post about it. You just, like I say, you 6'6", which say you got perfect teeth and you got white teeth and a perfect beard. You ain't gotta use Facebook to get women.
I'm just playing, man. I'm just playing. It just make me mad that I'm just like, yo, bro, why can't a man validate a woman's feelings without you think he trying to fuck her?
Right.
It goes to show that those guys like that are the guys those are the angry men that never get no women. Those are the guys that'll take a woman on a $300 date and get mad when she don't have sex. Those are the guys that will lead with money and then get mad and call a woman a gold digger. Those are those guys. Because I don't have no problem with no black woman on no level. The only issue I've ever had with a sister is having a hard time communicating. Other than that, I ain't got no horror stories. Ain't nobody never got at me for no money, no credit. My wife is a great woman. I don't have no bad stories about black women, man. Those guys hate black women, bro. I'm telling you.
Oh, true. And I'm gonna tell you what it is before we get to the parting shots. It's that one of the women they was trying to get in the inbox commented on your post, so they mad at you because she liked your post, but she ain't responded to his inbox. That's all it be.
I ain't even think about it like that, bro. You on something I never thought about.
Undercover jealousy. So we at the 5-minute mark, so I got to start doing parting shots. So I'm gonna let the ladies go first, and I'm gonna let Christina. I want to thank you for coming and sharing your story and all the stories you told. And you know, hey, if y'all got something y'all want to talk about, y'all know how we do this. Like I said, this is uncomfortable conversations. We just got to come up with some solutions. But Christina, tell them who you are, and you know, if you want to be followed, how to follow you. And like I said, thank you for coming to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm Christina Boyd Clark. You can find me on Facebook. That's really the only place I am. I am so grateful to be a part of conversations that are uncomfortable. That's why it gives me the perfect opportunity to be accountable, because I just don't think we hear it enough. And I definitely support everything that y'all, are saying tonight, and will in the future. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Dr. Dale, what you got for us? Give some words of encouragement how to stop this generational curse, how to be better.
You're on mute, Dr. Deb. You're on mute.
You saying some good shit, but you muted.
I was on the road, too. I was on the road. Let's keep talking. Let's keep the conversation going. Let's not stop talking, Communication is the best thing that there is. I don't know what you know. I don't know how you feel unless we have a conversation. So we have to keep the conversations going. Okay.
And the lovely Trina Marie, who ain't on suspension this week.
I'm Trina Marie. I'm only on Facebook. I try not to be on there. I'm really weaning myself off of social media. I'm tired of these Negroes. So that's that. I'll show up
that's
here,
how I feel.
here and there, but that's about it.
You know how to dodge that. You know how to dodge that. Okay.
Oh, what you got from? You've been quiet the whole show, brother. You've been quiet. I ain't used to that.
Oh no, man, I'm listening, man. This is good information. I want people to get it, but I'm just gonna say, we got a lot of good information out there. We got a whole panel right here, whole panel with a lifetime of information. If you take all our ages and add them up, you probably got 300, 400 years of information right there. And it's something that people should start listening to. You need to come to this show, have these conversations, get this information, and use it, because all the pain and problems that people are going through, we can save you a lifetime of problems. Trust me, because I've been through a lot of stuff. Probably the people on the panel, you heard some of the stories, been through a lot of things, and we have the knowledge and the experience to help you get by it. Use this panel, man. That's why DVP put it together. This here is a community, folks. Use Random Thoughts. This is the place where you can get information, where we can give you information. You know what I mean? And you can utilize that for your benefit.
All right, thank you, sir. And Javon is the tallest comedian I know, so I'm gonna go in and put him on Front Street, because I told him, because we're gonna end on a good note with some smiles. So Javon, go on and give me a quick little routine. Make us leave with a smile.
Oh man, you put me on the spot for real.
I told you it was gonna happen, brother. Don't act now. Don't make me pull up the text.
Hey, look, I thought you was playing, man. Well, look, I'll take us out and look, yeah, you got me on the spot for real. I'll take us out on this subject, since we talk about men and women, and talking about what men can do and what women can do. Why is it that when a man wants sex from his woman, he can roll over and he can touch it and rub on it? She can say, I'm tired, I'm upset, and he'll understand. As a man, we might go in the bathroom with the phone and the headphones and beat off. But if a woman try to get sex from her man, and if he happens to be tired, we all know he been fucking some. Is he gay? What is he doing? They won't accept that from us. So we're just gonna throw that out there as a little jokey joke, just a jokey joke of truth. Before I get out of here, yeah, you put me on this spot for real.
Anyway, that ain't never happen.
What's that? Say, look, you made it funny. Say a man ain't gonna never turn down none. But bro, before we get out of here, I just want to say, man, thank you for being you and doing what you do on a serious note, because I made a post today because social media has been monetized. Black men have broken the man code. We doing content about stuff that men shouldn't do. It's a guy out right now that just got out of jail named Fleece Johnson. He's viral, millions of views. And I seen a video and he talking about raping man in jail. And men wouldn't do that before. Men are talking about how we'll get each other's mama, fight each other. Men used to be more like, yo, I see you, I see you. So what I'm saying, bro, keep doing what you're doing, man. I'm so glad that when I looked at your page, I watched some of your stuff. You're not just out here compromising just to get views, man. And I appreciate you for who you are, bro. Real talk.
Thanks, sir. I'm gonna have y'all back. So y'all know this is Random Thoughts with DVP. It's 8 o'clock, so I'm gonna get out of here before I get in trouble. I appreciate my guests. And again, I'm gonna tell y'all, this is the best place to meet people. I know Dale personally. Of course, Trent is my wife, but I ain't met nobody else who's doing the show. I met them all through social media. You can get a lot more out of life when you go outside of your circle. You can get a lot more out of life when you listen to other people. It may not be something that you know, which is a good thing, because if everybody know what you know, then what are y'all teaching each other? I met Mo on Facebook. I met Javon and his wife on Facebook. We don't have to always agree, but it's all about a conversation and becoming knowledgeable so that you lose the ignorance willfully and knowingly. It's okay to learn from somebody else. It's okay. So we're going to do this again. I want to thank y'all for y'all time. Javon and Chris, hey, anytime y'all ready to come back, let me know what y'all want to talk about. We're going to do this again. Dr. Deb, you know I always appreciate you and your philosophy. So until next week, y'all know what it is, right? Peace, popcorn.
Peace and popcorn.
Good night.